Hello students, welcome to class today. Here we are looking at some past questions selected over the years recently of WAEC questions on economics. Please settle down and let's treat together. There is scarcity when the means exceed society wants, demand for resources is greater than its supply, productive resources are in excess, supply of resources is greater than its demand. Anytime you hear this word scarcity, is a major concept in economics. In fact, I can just say that the essence of economics is scarcity. Huh? Are you saying there's no scarcity to study economics? I'm not saying that, but in a sense. So scarcity is a major concept as far as economics is concerned. And when you hear the word scarcity, the first thing that should come to your mind is what? Limited in supply. Limited in supply. Not enough. Not sufficient. Okay? So the answer here is demand for resources is greater than its supply. In other words, the supply is not enough while the demand is more. That is scarcity. Option B. The next question. The study of economics becomes necessary because of the large population size of the world, scarcity of resources, opportunity cost of goods and services, needs to satisfy every desire of man. I just explained that now. Option B, scarcity of resources. Which of the following is a non-renewable natural resources? They are all natural resources, but one out of them is not renewable. You can't renew it. Once it is used, it is gone. All right? Rubber, oil palm, coal, cocoa. If you are smart enough using agricultural sense, the other three can be planted, can be renewed. You plant their trees and then get more. But coal is born off, is used off, and cannot be renewed. It takes longer time for another one to come up. Okay? So rubber, oil palm, cocoa, they are all renewable. C is the correct answer. Coal. The following are examples of economic goods except. What are economic goods? Goods that can be bought and transferred, that can be consumed, that can be used. Okay? Bottled water, household utensils, shelter, air. From the analysis, rationally looking at these options, the correct answer is what? Air. Okay? It's not an economic good. You don't buy it. It's a free gift of nature. The sufficient condition for a firm to be in equilibrium is that, now, when you talk about market, a firm is at equilibrium when the marginal revenue equals to what? Marginal cost. Now, in this place, let's look at any option that's talking about this. Marginal revenue curve is above the average revenue curve. No. Marginal cost curve cut the marginal revenue curve from below. Firm must show that it is profitable. Marginal cost must be equal to average revenue. No. So the correct answer here is B. Marginal cost curve cut the marginal revenue from below. That's equilibrium point. All right, where they met. Human wants are unlimited. That's what it means. In economics, it's a general assumption that human wants are unlimited. Because as you are satisfying one, you are wanting another. Satisfying that one you want, you are wanting another. So human wants are what? Unlimited. But the problem is that the resources to satisfy these unlimited wants are limited. So we have a major challenge in economics that brought about the study of economics, where limited resources chasing unlimited wants. Option C is the correct answer. The study of economics is important to every society because it enables individuals to satisfy all their wants. Is that possible? B, it helps in the utilization of scarce resources. C, it helps producers to know what to produce. D, it restores equilibrium between producers and consumers. How are you talking? So the correct answer to this question is it helps the utilization of the scarce resources. While we study economics is how to manage our available limited resources for these unlimited wants. Option B is the correct answer. It is not logically possible to satisfy all human wants, particularly not at once. The reason being that as you want something, as you satisfy it, you want something else. Okay? Option B is the correct answer for this question. The next one. Which of the following problems arises where there are more than one technically possible method of production? When you talk about method of production, you can use capital intensive, which is use of machines, or you can use labor intensive, which is use of hands. So when you are talking about method of production, what are you talking about? You are talking about how to produce. How to produce, okay? The next question. Option C is the correct answer. Which of the following is central to the definition of economics? When you talk about economics definition, particularly given by Robinson, the study of human wants has led to what? Scarce resources and its alternative uses. Resources, want, scarcity, capital. The correct answer is scarcity. Scarcity as a concept is central in the study of economics. And when you say scarcity, is this scarcity of resources or scarcity of goods and services? All right? The action of government to forego. Anytime you see the word forego, something should come to your mind. That is opportunity cost. Forego, forgone. It should come to your mind, opportunity cost. So, the action of government to forego road construction in order to provide more earth facilities denotes. Now, there are two things that government is looking at. One, construction of roads, and two, earth facilities. So, government decided to choose earth facility and forego construction of roads. So, what do you have to say? Sound economic decision, opportunity cost, practicable government policy, scale of profit. The answer here is opportunity cost. In other words, because of forego, government chose, make a choice, and anytime you make any choice, there's always what? An opportunity cost. And always remember, your choice is the sacrifice. Your choice is the enjoyment, the satisfaction. Your choice is the enjoyment, the satisfaction. While your opportunity cost, the forego alternative, the real cost. Choice is money cost. Actually, what you pay, money cost. The real cost is opportunity cost, which is what? The sacrifice. The sacrifice you made for your enjoyment. The sacrifice you made for your satisfaction. Take note of that because I'm sure we're going to come across likely questions in that regard. A point X inside the P production possibility curve indicates. We treated this topic under production possibility curve. We treated it sometime on this channel. Please, you can check one of our videos to get details of this. And I told you then that any point along this curve is talking about the full utilization of available resources, okay? And anyone inside means underutilization. In other words, when you say something is underutilized, it means something is idle. Whether resources is idle or labor is idle. And when it's outside, any point outside is overutilization of the resources available. Okay, take note, along, full utilized, under. Inside the curve, PPC, you call it underutilization, or you call it what? Idle of any labor or resources. While outside, any point outside is talking about growth, especially based on technology, overutilization of the resources. So let's see. A point X inside the PPC indicates that resources are fully utilized, that is along the curve. The country is poor, no. Some resources are idle, yes. Resources are not available. The correct answer is what? Some resources are idle, that is underutilized. Human wants are unlimited because, I just mentioned that earlier, production is inadequate, resources have alternative uses, new wants always rise, resources are limited. When we say human wants are unlimited, we are speaking, having in mind, in the face of limited resources. All right? Limited, which will always be scarce, which will always be limited at every level. Because the more you earn, the more you spend. The more your taste will change, the more you make higher choice, and then the more you need more money. All right? So resources are limited. Option D. Economic problems arise in our society because whether underdeveloped or developing society, there are economic problems. So why do they arise? Resources are mismanaged by leaders. There's no proper planning. Resources are not in adequate supply. The services of economies are not employed. The option here is C. Resources are always not in adequate supply. They're always not enough. They are always limited in supply. Option C is the correct answer. Economics is regarded as a science because it studies laws that govern human behavior. It uses scientific method to explain human behavior. It makes use of controlled experiment to explain human behavior. It makes use of machines to study human behavior. The answer is it uses scientific method to explain, to analyze the behavior of human beings. That is option B is the correct answer. The opportunity cost of a worker going to the university is when a worker is working, what is it? Is any wages, is any money, is making money, right? At least for working, you are being paid, either allowances, wages, or salaries. Okay, so what is the opportunity? If you now stop working and decided to go to school, university, what's the opportunity cost? The choice is now university. The opportunity cost is the work was doing, which is any money. So going to the school is tuition, fees, and books, boarding and lodging, the wages given up to attend university, transportation, and entertainment. The opportunity cost for this man or woman is the wages he gave up or she gave up to attend university. He gave up his salaries, gave us his wages to go to school. That is the opportunity cost. Option C. Remember I told you the opportunity cost is the sacrifice you made for your satisfaction, your choice. Okay? The next question. Scale of preference is important for the following reasons except in, now, in other words, all these four, out of these four, three of them are reasons why you need scale of preference. What is scale of preference? Is the arrangement of your wants, your human wants, in order of importance, in order of priority, or how pressing they are to you. So what is number one on my own scale of preference may not be number one, because what's important may not be important to you. My choice may not be your choice. Okay, so which of these is not reason why we draw scale of preference? Why is it not so important? Satisfying wants, making rational. This thing is not complete. It's supposed to be making rational decision. That's what it's supposed to be. Making rational decision. What rational decision? That is thinking through, considering all available opportunities, resources, and what have you, before you make your final choice. Making optimum allocation of resources. This optimum, not optimum. I think they misput this. Optimum allocation of resources. Using scarce resources efficiently. So D, C, and B are reasons for scale of preference. Not necessarily want. Satisfying want is the end result. Is the end result after all these must have been put in place. So, option A is the correct answer for this question. The next question. Point within production possibility curve indicate, I just explained this with the diagram I draw for you. The points along the curve of PPC. Optimum production level, attainable but inefficient production level, unattainable production level, attainable and efficient production level. Option D is the correct answer. Attainable. That's PPC, and of course, efficient production level. All right, option D is the correct answer. I just explained that in the previous question. The concept of opportunity cost is also referred to as social cost, real cost, fixed cost, variable cost. I also explained this one earlier. Is real cost. That is the sacrifice you made for the satisfaction you're enjoying. Real cost. That's opportunity cost. Option B is the correct answer. The demand for a factor input as a result of the demand for its output is known. In other words, you demand of a particular factor because of what you are going to get from it. Not that you needed that factor is set on its own, but because of what you are going to extract or what you are going to get for that particular factor. So what kind of demand is that? Market demand, complementary demand, competitive demand, derived demand. The correct answer here is derived demand. So the need for that input of that factor is because what you are going to derive from it. Derived demand. Option D is the correct answer. A tent making factory offers personal services, indirect services, social services, reference services. Services could be direct, it could also be what? Indirect. In this case, when a tent is being made for you, it's an indirect service. All right? It's different from when you enjoy something directly by yourself. It's an indirect service provided for you. You can use it now, you can use it later. A tent maker, an umbrella maker, all those stuff. They are indirect services that you enjoy anytime you need them. Option B is the correct answer. A minimum price legislation is also called. What is legislation? That's legal law, legalized law. A minimum is the lowest. So lowest price. When you make law that this price should not be more than this. Is it price ceiling? Price ceiling means the highest price. The maximum price. That's price ceiling. It's opposite of minimum price. Price mechanism is a control of price, fixing price, of a particular product. Price control. Price mechanism is also the same as price control. So B and C is tautology, repeating themselves. Price floor. So the correct answer here is option D, price floor, which means the minimum legalized price for a product. Price floor. Option D is the correct answer. The difference between the money cost and the real cost of any item is that I've already explained to you that your money cost is actual amount you paid. That your money cost is the satisfaction you enjoy, your choice. And that your real cost is your opportunity cost, your foregone alternative, your sacrifice you made for your satisfaction. So let's see. Real cost is alternative foregone, yes. While the money cost is actual amount paid for buying the item, yes. That is the correct answer. A is the correct answer, so I don't waste time on that, because I've explained a lot about this today. The next question. A consumer with $10 needs a dress, a pair of shoes, a handbag, and jewelry. How many items is that? A dress, 1, shoe, 2, handbag, 3, jewelry, 4. 4 items. And that consumer is having $10. I wonder I want to get it. Now, all these items cost respectively. The dress is $20. The shoe is $10. The handbag, $7. And of course, the jewelry, $3. Right? The opportunity cost of buying the pair of shoes. So if the consumer decided to buy the shoe, what is the opportunity cost? Among the 4, he picked shoes. The opportunity cost are those other items that he did not buy. Those other items is sacrificed so as to get a shoe. Dress, jewelry, handbag and jewelry, dress and jewelry. That is the handbag and the jewelries. The one he left on board. Option C is the correct answer. Okay, let's see the next question. Visible balance is also known as balance of trade. Balance of trade is talking about the difference between your export and your import. So the visibility, the physical of what you're able to produce within or outside. That's what I call visible balance of trade. Visible trade, balance of trade. Option C is the correct answer. When the production possibility curve shifts outward, I've explained this already, the economy experiences, when it's outside the curve, experiences growth, overpopulation, overproduction, inefficiencies of resources, underproduction. The answer is what? Growth. It is growth, and this growth eventually towards development when it is properly managed. Okay? Growth, option A, is the correct answer. In economics, a market is defined as any agreement made for consumer to buy all they need. That's funny, all. Anytime you see the word all, be careful, because you can't always meet all your needs at the same time. You can't always buy your needs at the same time. Even when you buy your list, now you still want something else immediately. I think that's a typographical error here. B is agreement made for producers to sell all their goods. C, agreement to sell commodities at low price. D, arrangements whereby the buyers and sellers are in contact. I tell us that it's also not here. Are in contact. This statement is not complete. Are in contact. This one is agreement, this agreement, and this is are in contact, which is the correct answer. Option D is the correct answer. So what is a market? A market is any arrangement where the buyer and the seller are in contact. It doesn't have to be in a particular place. It could be online, e-commerce. Huh? It could just be on the road. It could be in a bus, anywhere, as long as a contact between the buyer and the seller. We call it what? A market in economics. All right? Option D is the correct answer. The major employer of labor in developing countries is the developing countries are countries that are just growing. They are not like developed or sophisticated countries. Okay? So, who are the major employer? Which sector is major employer of labor? What do you expect? Because major productivity in developing countries are what? Primary products. Okay, raw materials. So the answer is what? The primary sector. Because the D basically raw materials. Primary sector, agriculture and what have you. Primary sector. Option C is the correct answer. The basic economic problem of any society is high level of illiteracy, irregular power supply, population growth, resources allocation. It has always been how resources can be well and properly allocated and utilized. Option D is the correct answer. The next question. I hope you're enjoying the class. Please subscribe to this channel and share the link with your friends. Which of the following is not emphasized in a PPC? Scarcity of resources, economic development, inefficiency of the use of resources, unemployment of labor. Labor and resources, they are critical parts of PPC. Now, not development. Development can only come when there's growth. But that growth, now not all growth can lead to development. If growth are not properly managed, it may not lead to development. So development is not part of the PPC. If you talk about growth, yes, particularly when you reach maximum, optimum production, and you exceed it, then you can talk about growth. But even when that growth is not properly managed, you might not get development. So development is not emphasized in PPC. Option B is the correct answer. Which of the following can be described as land? Forest, diamond, road, crude oil. Land. Which one is land? If you look at it, all of them are from the land. The crude oil is from the soil. The roads is built on the land. Diamonds are found in the ground. Okay? But the one we can describe as land, as far as this is concerned, is the forest. The forest. All these are also found in this place. Option A, forest. If the weight of 5 poppies in kilograms are 3.5, 3.0, 4.2, 5.0, and 4.3, then mean weight of the poppies is, now when we say mean weight, mean is talking about the average. That's arithmetic mean in mathematics, or you call it average, right? So what do? You say 3.5 plus 3.0 plus 4.2 plus 5.0 plus 4.3. Let's add it together. This is 7, this is 10, 0, you carry 1. So this is plus this, 4, 7, 11, 16, and 20. That's 20.0. So the total weight of the 5 poppies is 20. And how many of them? 20 over 5. What do you have? 4. So the average weight is what? 4 kilograms. Option B is the correct answer. Option B is the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following cannot be classified as land in economics? Which one is not land in economy? Land is a factor of production. Bauxite, deposit in the ground. Okay. A lake used for irrigation. Lake. A bulldozer for clearing farmland. Grazing field for cattle. Grazing field is the land. The forest, the bush, the grasses. Irrigation, lake, water is in the land. Bauxite, the mineral resources is deposited in the ground. But a bulldozer is brought to clear the ground. So it's not land. Bulldozer is not land. Option C is the correct answer. Production covers all the following except when. Production is all this except when utility is created, a good is manufactured, a commodity is consumed, individual wants are satisfied. Not necessarily. See, when you talk about consumption, consumption is not part of production. Consumption is on its own. All right? So that's why we remove this option C. All other options are linked towards production. Production is the creation of utility. Production is manufacturing of goods. Production is satisfying the wants of individuals. These are all production. Consumption is the aftermath, the end result of production. Okay? So option C is the correct answer for this question. The next question. The pursuit of private profit is a feature of command economy. Mind you, another word for command economy is socialist economy. So option A and B is just repetition. Command means controlled. That's socialist economy. Capitalist, statutory. Correct answer is option C. In capitalist economy, the main focus is private profits. In fact, maximizing profit, excess profit, abnormal profit for private. And that is one of the evils of capitalist economy. Because the capitalists, the bourgeoisie, they make profit at the expense of human life. They don't say what they're after is just for them to make their profit, all right? Which is the opposite of what socialists. Socialists render services as against just profit-oriented, all right? So correct answer to this question is option C, capitalist economics. Choice is necessitated by, why do you make choice? Why must you make choice? Huh? Demand and supply, cost of production proximity, scarcity of resources. The reason why we are making choices is because of the scarcity of resources, so that the limited resources can be used for the best alternative. So scarcity of resources, that is what necessitates, that's what gives us the reasons why we keep on making choice from time to time. Option D, scarcity of resources, is the correct answer. If the government stops subsidy on cocoa production, the supply curve of cocoa will, now, subsidy that government gives to farmers is to help them so as to alleviate in their production costs. So when government stop it or remove it, the first thing that will happen is that the production cost of cocoa will shoot up. And once the cost of production is high, then the producer will produce less and also supply less. And by so doing, it might lead to scarcity eventually. You understand? So the supply curve, what will happen? It will shift to the left. Remember, this shift, when we talk about shift, the price does not change. It's fixed. All right? So, and then we have supply curve in this order. When it shifts to the left, which means there's a reduction, going to the point of origin, reduction is quantity supply. When it shifts to the right, that is increase. So because of this high production cost, the supply shift to the left, and the supply will reduce. It will reduce. Option C is the correct answer for this question. Shift to the left as a reduction in quantity supply because of the increase in the cost of production. The next one, the sum of items divided by the number of items is the mean. We just did that now. That calculation was solved now. That's what we call arithmetic mean or the average. Option B is the correct answer. You know that median has to do with mode, the one that appeared most. So and under this, we did that earlier. Check one of our videos where these things were treated. Median is the one that fell in the middle of the observations or the values. Okay? The next question. Cooperative societies are formed mainly to, where do we form for cooperative society? To break the monopolies of private companies, to encourage thrift and credit among members, to assist producers to maximize their profit, to promote and maintain the welfare of members. Okay? The correct answer here is to encourage savings and also to encourage thrift. You can save and you can take loan to meet your needs, your obligations. Encourage thrift and credit among members. That is option B is the most correct answer. Okay? We'll go to the next one. An arrangement of data in rows and columns is referred to as what? A table. A table. Pie chart is when you arrange a circle. Bar chart, you use bars, rectangular boxes. Graph, you use line graph. So graph is line, bar is rectangular boxes, pie is circle, while table is what? In columns and rows. Option D is the correct answer. Table. The distinguishing function of an entrepreneur is, what function distinguish entrepreneur as a factor of production from other factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So what distinguishes entrepreneur? Planning, control, risk-bearing, management. Is risk-bearing, taking risk of the business. And of course, it's entitled to enjoy the profit, which is the reward of the entrepreneur. Option C is the correct answer. Okay? Now, this will be our last question for today. And I advise you and encourage you to please subscribe to this channel and also share the links with your friends. And if you have any questions, you can drop them for us. We'll attend to them with time. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more, episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams. Smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 type of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Cacao,